Hey everyone, Eric here from Whose Turn Board Games, and in today's video we're going to learn how to play and set up the game Wyrmspan. Wyrmspan is in the same universe as the board game Wingspan, so if you've played the game Wingspan before, you'll see a lot of similarities to Wyrmspan. It has a lot of the ideas from Wingspan itself, obviously just with dragons instead of birds. So a little bit of differences, small things here and there will make this game a little bit more unique versus Wingspan. But ultimately, it does play very similar to that game. So if you enjoy Wingspan, you'll definitely get a kick out of Wyrmspan. Now, Wyrmspan is a 1 to 5 player game, and in the game, you take the role of a dragon. I don't want to say connoisseur, but like caretaker. You are raising dragons in their environment and have to build out caverns in order to attract dragons, in order to basically lay eggs and care for them, so to speak. There is a dragon guild that also gets you points throughout the game. And also different objectives based on which guild is selected. There are a lot of dragons in this game. There's actually even a lore book with it. With that being said, let's get right into it. Now, the very first thing you should notice is that the player boards look very similar, as I stated, to Wingspan. It is, again, made by the same company. The actual creator of Wingspan helped create this one a little bit too. Same artist, I think, even as well. But it is going to be a little bit different. You only have, yes, you have 3 different spots you can lay dragons down, but in the end you only have 4 different spots you can lay a dragon overall. Each player will get a player board in front of them. There's also going to be the round tracker and round end goals, so that's what this one's going to be. To go with that is going to be a package of different objectives for round ends. For setup, you will just randomly select 4 of them, so you just kind of take them out of the bag, shuffle them up, and just pick 4 of them out. They're pretty self-explanatory as far as what the objectives are, so I'm not going to go too much into detail of those. They are pretty obvious overall. Now, like Wingspan, there's going to be a communal deck of cards that's going to have all the dragons on it. There's only going to be 3 on the face-up. Everything else is going to be in one separate pile. There is also going to be 3 separate cave cards that will be face-up. More on that a little bit later, but that's what this particular board is for. This is where a lot of stuff happens in the game overall. We'll really break this one down a little bit later, but overall, that is where the Dragon Guild is going to be. There are 4 different guilds that you can choose from. And you just, again, shuffle them up, choose one, it can be at random. Depending on the number of players, depends on which side you have, but I will go on to those a little bit more for this demonstration. We'll take green, and the rest can be put back to the first player token marker. This particular thing will just be passed around clockwise, depending on who the first player is. There are certain things that are activated clockwise, so it does somewhat matter. It is selected at random. We generally just will pick something, so however you want to choose first player, they get this token. It'll then pass at the end of each round. There are going to be the dragon cards, which are the actual dragons on the back, and then the cavern cards, which are going to be the actual perfect squares. They all will come out of this particular one, and if you look closely, you'll get a little bit of an Easter egg on the bottom of that. Those of you who don't know, it's the same container as the Wingspan containers. I know because I've played a lot of Wingspan. There are going to be a bunch of different colored speckled eggs. Each player will end up getting 1 to start overall. The rest are going to be in a easy reach area for all players, so take those out, throw those off to the side. The rest of the items in the game are going to be the scorecard itself for obviously scoring. We're going to put that out to the side for now. Automata cards, automata, I really don't know how you say that exactly, but we like to combine them and have them together. You can use these however you want to, they're just part of it. We just kind of keep these as such. This is going to be all the resources. There's 4 total: milk, crystal, gold, we call it butter, but gold, and meat, and then coins. The pink dot is actually for the single player, so if you're not playing with single player, set off to the side, but I just kind of keep it with everything else because it really has nowhere else to go. These should be easily accessible for everybody to get to. There's going to be a little bag with 2 and 5 times just in case resources run scarce. You can change them up and do that for caching, but we really don't see those very often. Final thing you're going to see is going to be the 5 different colors you can choose from. Every single player will get going to be 8 cubes, 1 shield, 1 adventurer, 6 coins, and 1 egg. I keep these in little baggies just set aside, so that way people can just choose their color and they can start playing. You don't have to worry about sifting them all. You can choose whichever you want to do. That's just a personal preference I've learned over the years. For playing a lot of board games, you do you. You know, just do what you want to do. Now on the player mat, each player will get one. They're going to take their little tiny person dude. They're going to go ahead. It'll say base camp on the left-hand side. It says excavate, entice, explore, and right underneath that is going to be base camp. The little dude's supposed to be on the base camp. It really doesn't matter. He should be somewhere on your board. That's just a little marker to make sure that you are aware that that's where it should be. The shield itself is going to go on the Dragon Guild marker, right where it says Start. We'll go more into that a little bit later, but each player will place that there. Each player will take their 8 cubes and set that off to the side in some capacity. It doesn't really matter where, they're just going to have that off to the side so that way they can use them. Explain with you later. Their 1 egg, each player will have 2 storage capacity on the board itself. Like Wingspan, you do have to have storage capacity for eggs. Unlike Wingspan, you start off with 2 on your board, meaning you do not need to have a bird, or in this case, a dragon on the board in order to have egg capacity. So you put the egg right there, each player starts with 1, and then each player will start with 6 coins. Now the coins are turns in this game. Again, I'm going to mention things with Wingspan just in case. Wingspan, the cubes were the actual turns. You lost one at the end of every round. You got less and less turns as the game went on. That's that. In this one, each time you get a coin, that is 1 extra turn. There are ways to get coins back. I'll go into that a little bit later. But just know that everybody gets at least 6 turns each round with potential for more. Now, for obvious reasons, the deck should be shuffled. I'm just going to go a quick little jamboree here. Once they're shuffled, each player will get 3 of the cavern cards. Then you will flip face up 3 cavern cards on the communal board, and the rest will go off to the side. There's going to be a deck pile, and there's going to be a discard pile. You will be discarding these at some point in some capacity, so just keep that in mind. Only the ones face up are the ones that everyone should see for communal. Dragon deck, same thing goes for that. It should ultimately be shuffled. We're pretty sure it was, but we'll just pretend it is regardless. Each player gets 3 dragon cards, and again, 3 dragons will be flipped up. Round tracker should again have the objectives on it and set up to the side so everyone can see it, just so that way they know what each round the objectives are to get points. That's going to come into effect a little bit later, so I'll set that off to the side for now, but in the end, that's just going to be there for all to see. Once everyone has their 6 starting cards, the 3 and 3, as well as their 6 coins, their 8 cubes, their little adventure dude, and 1 egg, that doesn't matter the color, just pick one. Then I'm going to look at their cards, and they have to discard down to 4. It does not matter what combination they have. They can discard down 2 dragons, they can discard down 2 caverns. It really does not matter what they'd like to do. I have 4 cards in my hand, that's it. Each player will then choose 3 starting resources. It can be any combination, it can be any... it can be the same ones, it can be whatever they want. They can just choose 3 resources that they choose. Unlike in Wingspan, where the bird feeder makes what food is available each turn, this one, all food is always available. You can choose whatever food you want. It's just a little bit harder to get. You don't get as much of it because of the fact you can choose any. That being said, at any point in time, you can convert 2 resources, any 2, it does not have to be the same 2, any 2 resources to another one. And once each player has taken their food, has selected their cards, the first player has been chosen, the Dragon Guild has been selected at random, and the objectives have been chosen at random, the game will begin. So, for the game itself, each player will take turns doing one of 3 actions, doing it in its full capacity, and then the next player will then go. When they choose to do something, they have to spend a coin. Again, coins are turns in this game, so you have 6 turns each round in order to be able to do it. After the end of the 4th round, whoever has the most points wins. And with that, there are only 3 actions you can do overall. The first action we're going to go into is going to be Excavate. It's going to be actually at the top of your player board. With Excavate, you just spend 1 coin, and then any particular cost that is for how far you are out for your caverns, as well as any particular cost that comes down with the actual cave itself. What this means, in order to play any kind of dragons at all, you must excavate your cavern in order to have a dragon down. So now as you can see, the first of the 4 spaces each kind of have a little section in the center that's a little bit more outlined and more prominent. There are already caverns in that system, so you can already lay down dragons in the first spot. The second spot and further down, you will need to first excavate. So if I were to choose excavate, and I'll put it down in either one of the spots. The colors do not matter, they're just aesthetically there. It really does not matter which one goes where. There's no rhyme or reason you can't play one over the other. Each time you play a cavern, it is a one-time lay and play ability. This row has absolutely no cost whatsoever. The second row, you have to spend an egg to excavate. Now, as you probably see on this last part here, there's a little bit more words on this third spot where you can lay a cavern. That, when you lay down a cavern on that particular one, so like let's say I were to play this one here, you can then, for a one time only, discard any 3 resources, 3 dragons, or 3 cavern cards. But if you discard 3 of them, when you lay this cavern down, on top of paying the coin and the 2 eggs, because the third row costs 2 eggs, you will get a coin back. So you could potentially get an extra turn by discarding resources or cards that you are not going to use. Keep that in mind, that is a one-time only when you cover that last one, so when you excavate, that is the options. The next option you can choose is Entice. Entice is where you lay down a coin, again, for your turn, and then you have to pay the cost of the dragon to entice the dragon to stay in your stronghold. So I have to pay the resources of whatever the printed cost is on the dragon itself in order to be able to do it. The one I'm going to lay down will cost me 1 of each, a gold, a meat, and a crystal. And when I lay it down, I discard those back to the general supply. That is that. Alright, dragons explained. So, top left of the dragon itself is going to be the actual cost for any resources. They can cost food, they can cost eggs, they can cost coins. So keep that in mind. Sometimes you do have to pay an extra coin on top of enticing it with a coin in order to lay down certain dragons. And the top left is going to be its point value. That's the little tail icon. Underneath that will be its egg capacity. Some have a lot, like 4. Some have none, like 0. Right underneath that and above the capacity is going to be what size the dragon is. There is small, medium, large, and hatchlings. Now if you follow that down more on the left-hand side, bottom left, it's going to say what personality it is. Shy, playful, I think it's helpful, and aggressive. The sizes and the personalities only really matter for scoring purposes as well as endgame objectives. So just kind of keep that in mind, that those are really the only real reason that they exist. So just watch out for that. Underneath the cost of the actual, what it'll cost for the dragon itself, is going to be where the dragon can be laid. So some dragons can only be laid in the Amethyst Abyss, which is the bottom row. Some dragons can be laid only on 1, some can do on 2, like for this example, this one. It can do the Crimson Cavern or the Amethyst Abyss. Some can do all 3. Now the very last thing we'll talk about is the actual dragon's abilities. There's 4 different kinds of abilities because there's 4 kinds of everything else, so why not? We're going to go with the first one being the flag. The flag is going to be the end game scoring. They give you additional victory points at the end of the game based on what they say. You'll have to read what they do. Some of them are better than others. Some of them they're all pretty straightforward overall, so just keep that in mind. If you notice this icon, the little card playing down, that is going to be the same icon as Cavern, and that's because that is a when played, activate this ability. Up next is going to be the stopwatch. That is going to be an end round. At the end of every round, you activate whatever ability that it says there. And then finally, there's going to be a little explorer icon. That is going to be when you actually explore, you activate its ability. More on that here in a little bit, but that's a very important one, and I will explain in particular hatchlings, as hatchlings are a little unique. So typically when you do explore, you would be activating the dragons, so on and so forth for their abilities. With hatchlings, you activate it every time you want to. You don't have to activate it, but when you do, you immediately get whatever the second row is. So for this particular one, you get to cash a meat on this dragon. At the end of the game, because it's a flag symbol, each meat on here is worth 1 additional point. Sometimes it is a cash one on this dragon and get something else in return. Sometimes it is a tuck a card and you get something else in return. So just keep in mind that you can do that every single time. Why hatchlings are very important is that the very final thing, when they get something on them for the 3rd time, they instantly get a one-time effect. So for this particular one, the 3rd time a piece of meat is put on there in any capacity, it is just cashed on this particular dragon. There's 3 on there. You then get a coin. It is only activated the 1 time. You can still, even after that 3rd ability is activated once, you can still continue to cash things or tuck cards or activate its ability. After that, you just can never get that 3rd ability ever again. So now that was Enticing Dragons, and that's dragons in a nutshell on how they kind of work, and how they kind of work overall for everything. The last thing you can do on your turn, the last action, is Explore. For Explore, you again take your coin, and you place it wherever you're going to explore. You can explore any of the 3 areas. It does not matter which one you do. You then take your little Explorer, you kind of walk down the path from left to right. Every single time there's an icon with a little adventure, you activate it. So on the board itself, it says right here, activating power is gain a card. So if I go in the middle, I immediately draw a card. I can draw a face-up card, or I can draw a card from the deck. I then go to my next dragon spot, if there is one. This one there is. It does nothing for anything, so I skip over it. I go to the next icon. This dragon shield is the dragon guild. Now, I no longer have a dragon. I actually have a little stop sign here, which means I can no longer continue. Even if I have a cavern here, the cavern goes in the middle, it would not cover the stop sign, only the dragon would. So as a result, I can no longer continue to keep going down this particular track. I end my exploration. This means that if you have absolutely no dragons in the top or the bottom or any of the rows, you only activate its first ability and then your exploration is done. If I were to choose Explore again, I still have to pay the 1 coin, but I now have to pay an egg as well in order to explore on that particular track. Third option is the same thing. It is a coin and 2 eggs. Now, if I were to go here twice in Golden Grotto, but I want to then go up in Crimson Cavern, I can. It's only going to cost me 1 coin because I've not been up there before. As such, the second time in that cavern will be 2 coin and egg, and the first time down in Amethyst Abyss will just be 1 coin. So once you've taken your action and your turn is over, you then have to do a couple things. You discard down to a total of 9 cards. If you have more than that, you have to discard down. Discard down to a total of 9 resources, or you can convert them for a 2-to-1 at any point in time. Or if you have more than 9 coins, you have to discard down to 9 coins. Once your turn is over, you discard everything down. You refill anything that's been taken from the face-up display from the top of the deck, and play goes to the next player. People continue to go in a clockwise order until they're taking their turns in any of the 3 actions that I've described, until the round is over. Round is over when everyone is passed. You can pass at any point in time you'd like to. Just know that when you pass, you no longer take any more active turns during that round. So if I pass with a coin left, I can do that. I carry over into the next turn an extra coin. Once every player has passed, either by running out of coins or by voluntarily passing, you then go to the end round. For the end round, you activate any of the clock abilities that I explained. So you go in a clockwise order starting with the first player. Everybody will activate them. Once everybody has activated them, you then look at the round end goal. You see who has the most points, or whoever has the highest amount of whatever it would be. Everybody takes a cube. Whoever has the most gets the first place. If there's a tie, you tie for first. It is a friendly tie, unlike with Wingspan. So if 3 people in a 3-player games ties for first, all 3 players get 4 points. There is no rounding down, there is no splitting, it's just as simple as everybody gets them. Once that has been done, and all powers have been activated for round ends, you then clear the board of all the face-up cards, after refilling them, mind you, and flip 3 new ones over for each deck. Each player then gets 6 coins and 1 egg. It does not matter if they don't have capacity. If they do not have capacity for the egg is forfeit. You then pass the first player marker to the next player, and play resumes. You continue going down with the actions, whatever action you want to take, however you want to play down your board, if you want to excavate, if you want to entice, if you want to explore, however you want to play your turns, they are yours to do with as you will. Now that that has been kind of explained on how you play the game, I'm going to go into the Dragon Guild a little bit more. So again, anytime you get that brown shield, your particular color shield moves up 1. You continue to move around in a clockwise fashion. There's a little arrow showing you, just in case you get confused. Hey, I like that. And you continue to get the rewards each time you get it. Once you end up on either the bottom or the top brown section, you immediately take one of your cubes from your collection and you place it on the game board. You can choose any reward you want. Each of them play a little bit different, so you have to read what they do. Again, not overly complicated, they're explained pretty well. And then there's a game end option. So as you see, there's 1 cube for each spot. I can put my cube on any one of these I'd like. So if I want an immediate reward, I go in the top 3. If I want an end game reward, I put it in the bottom 2. There's also just going to be flat out points. These are, at the end of the game, based on something, you get points. This is a flat 6 points no matter what. Once you've made your selection, you continue moving when next time you get more points. So if you do get, for example, there is some cards that let you get 2 or even 3 Dragon Guild points at a time. When that happens, if you stop at a brown, you immediately activate your power and then continue on. You continue going around in a circle until the game is over. You can only have a total of 4 cubes per player on that mat. Players can have the same color cube on the same icon. So I can have both yellow cubes on this particular one just to get double the points. There is an infinite spot down here for 1 point, so no matter what, you will always get 1 point if you end up with no other options out there. Just put that out there, okay? It does say on the top left, if it's a 2 to 3 player, you should be choosing one side, and if it is a 4 to 5 player, you should be choosing the other side. So keep that in mind with the number of players. It does affect how many options are in there for the Dragon Guild. It works the same, it's just there's more options for more cubes to be on the particular rewards. Now once play has been done, you get through all 4 rounds and you have all your end games done and everything like that, you then go on to scoring. Scoring is going to have a couple different factors with it. You are going to take any end game points you get off the Dragon Guild itself. You're going to take any point value for the dragons that you have in your caverns. These are only for face-up ones, nothing that's tucked. Your points based on the public objectives over here. So wherever your ranking is for that, whatever your total is going to be, that's going to be one of your things. You get 1 point per egg. You get 1 point per cash food. You get 1 point per tuck card. You will get 1 point for every coin you have left over in your that you unused. So if you pass the very end of it, you can still do that. Every coin you have is worth a point. And then every 4 resources, dragon cards, or caverns you have, a combination of those, rounded down, you get a point. So if you have 3 cards and 1 resource, that's 1 point. And then any dragons that have the actual flag abilities, whatever their point value is worth. Whoever the most points wins. In case of a tie for points, whoever's the most dragons on their board would win. In case of a tie there, the game says everybody shares the victory. I would immediately go with who is further along in the Dragon Guild. That's what our default, our house rule is. But you can share the victory if you want. I just don't like sharing. I like winning. I'm not a big sharer. I'm a big winner. That's actually a lie. I don't really win that often. But I'll enjoy playing the game anyway, but it is that's what we do. So however you want to do it for that particular one, but that's what the game rules say. So, and that's Wyrmspan. Again, it is very similar. A lot of similarities to Wingspan if you played that one, and which we have extensively. So we got this one pretty quick. It's got a lot of differences. There's actually a whole little like half page in the instruction booklet of all the differences from Wingspan to Wyrmspan. That is the game itself. So really hope you enjoy it. Really hope this video helped to kind of understand a little bit more. If you have questions on it, let me know in the comments down below. I'll explain it pretty well. I have a pretty good understanding of the game. Let me know in the comments if there's any kind of questions or disputes, and I'll see what I can do to get you an answer. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, give it a like, give it that old thumbs up, and if you enjoy board game content like this, reviews on board games, and just kind of our thoughts on in general, consider subscribing. We'd really appreciate that. You know, you don't have to hit the bell. If you want to, go right ahead. We publish weekly, and it's either going to be reviews or how to play and setups like this was. Let me know in the comments below if you've played Wingspan and Wyrmspan, and which one you like more, and also what do you like about them? Because I have a lot of things I like about this one versus Wingspan, and there's a lot of things I like about Wingspan that I don't like about this. You know what I mean? So let me know. I want to know people's thoughts on that. So let me know in the comments below what you think about this particular game. If you want to support the channel, we do have an Amazon affiliate link in our description below. Anything you purchase off that will give us a small commission. All of that money goes immediately back into providing more content, getting better equipment, anything like that for the channel. So consider supporting us if you, well, I mean, really if you want to. You don't have to, but it would really help us out. That's all I got. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate you being here. I've been Eric, and until next time, whose turn?